Hello and welcome to Richard Plays Games. My name is Richard and I play games, and welcome back to Parkitect. We are back in Parkitect carrying on our vanilla Parkitect campaign with episode number 2, which is Chanute Airfield. Chanute. I'm going to go Chanute. I think other people say Canute, but I'm going to go Chanute. A small airfield has been abandoned and now its land has become available for use. This looks like an ideal spot for an amusement park if you can work with the limited space. The old airport structures are landmarks that must be preserved. So our goal is to have 250 guests in our park this time. But we have an optional goal to sell at least 400 tickets. So we need a total 400 entrances, and then complete all of the non-optional goals by the end of June year 2. So again, we're definitely going to go for that. Right, let's go. So let's just pause this and then let's have a little look around the map. So we've just got a runway by the looks of it, just a very long area, which is great. And then I assume that if we hide the scenery, there are all of our depot and everything is in there. Perfect. Right, well, let's get on with it. So, Chanute Airfield. I remembered when I was playing this, when I did play Parkitect a little bit, when it sort of, around when it first came out, I think, of the early levels I remember that, or missions, I remember this being not my favourite. I think it's mostly just because of lack of theme, which sounds stupid because it's an airport, so it's like super easy, like you have the theme made for you. But I think for me it was hard to make something that didn't look cheap. And like I did with Maple Meadow, I pretty much did this mission, or started this mission, I'm going to say 2 or 3 times, made some stuff, delete, made some stuff, delete, start again, before I finally sort of made something that I thought was video worthy. And always because I thought it looks cheap, it looks cheap, it looks cheap. So in the end I thought, okay, let's go with that. Cheap is our theme. Let's make something that it's not an amusement park, it's not a theme park as such. It's a funfair. It's temporary. It's, maybe there's just this empty airfield piece of land that they don't really know what to do with. So you know what? Let's just build a funfair on it for a little while. So that's why the food court is a hangar. I figured, they'll just chuck a food court in a spare hangar that they had there, and chuck a burger place in there and stuff like that, and people can just use the hangar as where that would be. So yeah, I've gone for temporary and a bit naff as my theme, and some of the things come across as perhaps a little bit too permanent. They don't really do the naffness quite to the level I was hoping for, but I kind of enjoyed it. Naff is the new good. The parts, I think, are the thing that make it look a little bit not temporary, because they are obviously quite permanent. But the fences, I've tried to go for that, the fence that looks just like, they've bought in these railings from a hire company, those ones there, yeah, that, they're not like anyone has actually built something forever here. It's just a local barriers company that they've just got in to do some put the barriers in. This is my attempt at a wild mouse coaster, and if you have watched me on the channel for a little while, especially in Planet Coaster, I've been quite clear that coasters are not my specialty. In terms of my knowledge of coasters is not that high normally, because I can't say I go on many. So there's like this because I don't go on many, I don't really know the sort of standard tropes of a wild mouse coaster. But I looked up a few things online, and I think I'm pretty happy with it. I think it fits mostly what most wild mouse coasters are about. So you've got the start with the sort of slower bit with the sharp turns into some bigger dives and bunny hops and bits and pieces. That was me discovering that I haven't put the station at 4, the height mark of 4. I've put it at like 3 3/4 or something, and now I can't quite figure out how to get myself back down to that height and put a brake run in. So yeah, I'm just gonna fudge around with this for a little while. Yeah, there we go. While I try and figure out exactly what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the wild mouse. I just wanted to get so my idea for the park was to kind of anchor it. I'm not going to use the whole runway. First of all, it's too much space. It's just I don't think we kind of need to. So my idea was anchor it at either end with a coaster of some type, and that would be at this end a wild mouse and probably a junior coaster at the other end, where we just just so that there's people are kind of evenly drawn each way. There's a few rides, flat rides at the end, but I didn't really want to go all out with this one. I'm definitely aiming to finish the park before I unlike in Maple Meadow, where I didn't finish it before I actually got to the end of the mission. But I also don't want to go all out on this one because I don't really enjoy the scenario. So I didn't want to put hours and hours into a scenario which, to be quite frank, I wasn't enjoying. So I just wanted to get this one done and it look okay. Talking of looking okay and an example of things that don't, this is me attempting to do some custom supports. Due to the sort of again, because of the whole idea that the park is quite temporary, I didn't like. I thought that the in-game supports, they look quite permanent. And I was like, nah, let's see if we can make something that looks a bit more temporary. So again, I sort of Googled what was I like fairground coaster supports, and they all looked pretty naff, like this, like normally white metal of some kind, and there's barely anything there. And I tried to do it with the like border pieces and the pillars, and it doesn't look very good. And I kind of liked it at first because I was like, I can get a few headbangers in there as well, which is sort of a real sort of standard trope of these kind of funfair coasters of the duck or you're going to become decapitated kind of thing. But then the more I did it and the more I played around with it and the more I played around with it in the isometric view, and I realized that half of the things weren't where I thought they were, specifically that what's the word that I'm looking for? Border that I've just put basically that the halfway through the track, and all of this just started to look really bad, and it didn't even look like temporary supports. It just looked bad. But I persevered with it for a little while. But in a minute, I am gonna delete the whole lot, and yeah, here we go. So save the coaster track, delete the temporary supports. Done, easy. That's my journey into temporary supports over. I think for the whole time I play Parkitect. Chucked the Ferris wheel down just to kind of cap off this end of the park, and just going to build a real temporary looking station for the coaster. Again, something that looks like it's been there for 5 minutes, because it's going to get pulled down in a few months when this funfair moves on to the next city or town or wherever it's off to. The one thing I did like to try and get in fairly regularly was the planes. So the plane carousel is the obvious anchor at the beginning of the park, with the the two planes parked in the queue line there, and I'm going to chuck another one in here. I kind of figured that if this was like a fun fair, they might have a few planes parked around. Maybe it, like, you know, kind of if there's any English people listening, if you ever went to like an air show in the summer kind of thing, you know, you might have like a flight line where you would walk down and see the planes parked. That was kind of my idea, but more just kind of dotted around the park as opposed to a place where you would go specifically to look at them. But yeah, here's my super cheap, super not really any effort station into it, just to kind of give it that temporary kind of jank look with a real sort of kind of queue covering. They just kind of chuck those half squares down. But that's pretty much the first half done. This is we're kind of getting towards the first bit of our park being created or being ready. So what we'll do, we will jump back into a real-time section. We'll get the park up and running. We'll start making a little bit of money, and we'll see how close we start to get to our goals. Okay, so we're at our park entrance, and yeah, this is we got, you know, 4 flat rides, and a coaster, so a good little start. One thing I am going to do, let's just grab the path color here, because that flashing path there, because there we go, because not all 4 squares around the information kiosk were the same color, it was causing a glitch on the path underneath, so we can fix that now. But what have we got? So we've got our let's rotate round. We've got our food court over here, and that's just in a hangar. So if you hide the scenery, we've got burgers, candy floss, drinks, and mini donuts just in there. Super easy, super nothing, cheap. People walk in, people walk out, not a problem. Over here we've got our sort of anchor at the entrance, which is quite obviously the plane carousel. It just makes sense that it would be right here at the beginning of this kind of almost airport themed fun fair. We've got a wipeout and a twister. I haven't renamed these. I haven't even recolored them. I probably should go in and actually recolor these, but like I said, I don't want to put a huge amount of effort into this park. I don't really like this scenario all that much, so the goal is just get it finished and get it done. Another plane parked here towards the back here, where we've got our Ferris wheel. I kind of like that it, you know, the end of the coaster kind of interacts with the queue of the Ferris wheel, and also the Ferris wheel, you get a good view of the coaster and the rest of the park this way. I know there's nothing going on back here, so the Ferris wheel isn't that well placed, but I thought it was placed well enough that you would get a relatively good view. We're paying £8 for the wild mouse. I think that's acceptable. $4.50 for the Ferris wheel, and $5.50 I think for the thrill rides. $3.50 for the plane carousel. So, you know, some options there for people. Not super cheap, not super expensive. I'm just trying to make money so that we don't run out of money this time, and I can actually finish the park before we finish the scenario. We're talking of finishing the scenario. Let's just go over our goals again. So we need 250 guests in the park, which at the moment we have 117, and we need to sell at least 400 tickets, which we've done, you know, 120, which is, you know, the total week. That's going to take some time. We'll probably actually technically complete the scenario before we get that 400 tickets sold. But what we'll do now, let's get back into the time lapse. Let's finish this park, and then we'll go over it again in real time at the other end. Back into time lapsing we go. So finish one end of the park. So we're going to go in, and now we're going to cap off the other end of, you know, the half of a runway that we use to build the park. Didn't really take a huge amount of time to invest in research and stuff. Again, not that much effort. Kind of just wanted to get the scenario out of the way. So I just thought, use the rides that I have. I've placed 2 of the 3 gentle rides. So I figured one more thrill ride just to cap off this end. Again, just something to make a bit of money. Perfect, you know, that's all really we're looking for. This was the point I realized I hadn't yet placed down toilets, so hence why sudden appearance of toilet building. But yeah, with the I think is it a jumper? It's called. I'm not quite sure exactly what the name of it is, but just something that we can use to again draw some people in, make a little bit of money. Thought about chucking down another ride. I went, you know what? Actually, you don't need it. One more ride is fine. We can just use this, and then that's the pop a coaster down at the other end. Bish bash bosh. We've going to have enough to finish the mission. But I still wanted to chuck in another food court, because why not? Who doesn't love a multi food court? Sorry, there's my desktop a couple of times. Really need to change that. Yeah, who doesn't love multiple food courts in a park? So I thought about placing down another hangar, and then actually I thought, you know what, I'm going to steal just this terminal building kind of from the front and integrate them kind of together. This was, when I was talking earlier about a little bit too permanent buildings like this, that they wouldn't exist on the airfield there. That's pretty much next on the runway. So there's not going to be this kind of solid permanent terminal building there, but it just kind of fits in with the earlier parts of the theme. And again, said it loads of times, not that much effort, really just want to get the scenario done, really not interested in doing a huge amount of stuff. But since we are going to have hopefully eventually 200 plus people in the park to finish the scenario, plus also waiting to get that 400 tickets sold, I just thought somewhere else for people to sit, somewhere else for them to eat, somewhere else for them to maybe get out of the way of any rain that might occur. That's the place. One thing I did try and do in this campaign mission, after some feedback I got on the last mission, was a bit more colour in the roofs. So that blue and white roof, whoever it was that said too many brown roofs in the last one, that one's for you. Hope you enjoy it. I used the rain here just as a chance to go around and sort out lighting in the park, because I don't know if there is a way that you can change the lighting in the park. I'm sure you probably can, but not being that good at Parkitect, I don't know how to set it manually to make sure that I've lit everything up enough. So, which is something I do often whenever we're playing Planet Coaster. So I thought, just go on, just make sure we get the everything lit up. Right, last ride is just a nice little junior coaster. I'm trying to build sort of like a standard 4-leaf clover kind of design, 3 or 4 like banked loops around sort of a middle where the track will just kind of loop round and go over and under itself. I kind of get there at the beginning, and then for some reason in a minute I'm going to go and delete pretty much the whole thing. I don't know why I did that again, actually. I think it was to try and sort out block sections, or the brake section, or something wasn't quite right. So I started tinkering, and as I always do whenever I play these games, rather than tinker to actually finish it, I kind of tinkered a little bit too much. Here I didn't like the fact that there was 2 trains on the track at the same time. You just wouldn't get that. This is it. This is where it starts, because I put in to put in the block sections, and then I just start deleting all over the place. And we tinker with this ride for ages. It was fine. It was more than acceptable. I don't really know what I'm trying to achieve now. I guess just making sure that everything is acceptable stats. But I'm pretty sure it was fine. I really don't know what I did this for, other than just to elongate the time that I spent in the mission that I really didn't want to spend any time in, because I don't like it. Again, deleted a load more now. I'm a menace. But you can see we're kind of quickly running out of money, and I don't know if I realised that at the time, because I think I have to keep sort of pressing play and pausing, because I'm trying to juggle between not finishing the goals before we're ready to finish the goals, like Maple Meadow, but also actually finishing the park, unlike Maple Meadow. Not my time management, I think, in this game, still not quite where I need it to be. But yeah, we're basically bit by bit rebuilding this entire coaster for no reason, because it was perfectly acceptable before. But once you finish it, that's pretty much it done. We're going to build another temporary-ish looking cover for the station, nothing that looks particularly permanent. And then it really is just a case of waiting for us to hit all the goals, and then we are pretty much done. What we'll do, we'll just let this time lapse finish. I'm going to build the station, then we'll get back into a real time, hopefully just as we clock over to our 200th guest? 200th guest. We are less than 10 guests from our goal of 250, 243. Plenty of people are flooding in, so what we'll do, we'll let this goal be met, we'll let that confetti rain, and then we'll just go over. There's a couple of things we need to do to finish the park, and then we are done with Chanute Airfield. So 248, come on, 2 more people. There it is, 250. You have completed a goal. That means that we've completed one of our optional goals as well, which is to complete all the non-optional goals by the end of Junior 2, because it's Junior 1. Parkitect, confetti me. There it is. Yeah, baby. Right. Excuse me. Sorry, that was terrible. Right. Just going to open our junior coaster. And then let's get finishing a few things off. Like, first thing, we need to do this path, because I didn't ever go in and sort of do the random square color thing that I was kind of doing previously. So we'll just pop a few squares down. Good. And then we haven't built a cover yet for this coaster queue, so we're going to go over and we're just going to pinch the cover for this one over here, which is just these gazebo pavilion things. We'll chuck those sort of triangle roofs on. The goal being to try and not make anything that's sort of too much of a shape, and like try and make it look somewhat random, which is kind of hard-ish to do. That's good, I like that. That's fine. Let's not tinker with it anymore. Right, let's go over what we've got. So we've got our junior coaster here, which we are asking people to pay $8.54, and they seem to be willing to pay. We are making good money on our park as a whole, so if we just let this run, we're going to make some money, but we're done. I'm just going to let it run to finish the other non-optional goal. We have our junior coaster here. Let's do an on-ride view of that with the other car, because that should be just about ready to go. So really simple, basic junior coaster, absolutely nothing that's going to make anyone suffer any kind of heart attacks or anything like that. It's just a bunch of banked turns that kind of flow over each other in the middle. I kind of tried to do from memory Flight of the Hippogriff at Universal Studios Florida in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I don't think it's quite this many banked turns, but I just remember that that's pretty much all it is. And then we do go into some bunny hops, round the last bit, into the brake run, and then we've got a block section there just to wait for the station to free up. So yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing too over the top, just a nice easy junior coaster. We also have this jumper here that we're asking $5 for, which again people seem willing to pay, and I've kind of used some more of the hanger pieces to make a bit of a show building slash just cover slash walls to hide all of the things we're trying to hide at the back. I did notice we're missing a piece of wall there, so let's sort that out while we're here before we forget. Done. There we go. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's just a case now of letting the game run. Let's sell those 400 tickets, and just so I can scratch that 100% completion itch. But thank you so much for playing along with me again today. I do always appreciate it. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button, and why not subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date with all the future Parkitect episodes, plus when we jump back into Planet Coaster. But for now, I will see you when I see you.